Hey, this is Chris, CNL Construction at the end of a busy week. We have a couple days off. I'm not going to do anything today because, once again, it is miserable outside. You walk outside, I went and walked Lincoln, and of course, by the time I got finished with that, I was starting to sweat. And I just, if it's that hot, unless it's really, really important, I'm not doing anything. So tomorrow's supposed to be a much nicer day. I've got to replace the rear brakes on this car. They're grinding just a tad, so I'm gonna have to fix those. But yeah, so I finished up the deck this week. Worked on Sunday. It was a really nice day. Got a lot done. I really do hate picket fences, though. I tell you, they're just awful. I was able to save some time though by taking the top board off, since it had to be a different color anyway. It was a two-tone deck. You'll see the pictures. They're on Facebook. And like a really light brown and a really like chocolate brown. It looks nice, but I figured it was easier to take the top of the rail off. And then when I did that, I realized it made the top of the picket so much easier to get to. And so yeah, that saved quite a bit of time. So if you're in a similar situation and you've got deck members that are screwed together, I would suggest figuring out a way to take something apart so that you can reach something more easily, because each of the top rails is over 16 feet long. They only had 6 screws in them because the posts were 8 feet on center, so you had screws at each end post and 2 in the middle post. And so it's like, well, zoom with my little impact driver, and they came right off, and they were very easy to paint. The stain was Valspar, and I was pleased with the way it worked. The deck boards were terribly weathered. Just it was really, a bunch of cracks and everything. But fortunately, I had one of these, and if you see, it's got a hole in the top threaded so you can put a handle into it. And so I was able to just take the 5-gallon bucket of the lighter paint. I couldn't use it on and I don't remember, it doesn't have its name on it. I think it's a Worcester, but it might be a Purdy, I don't know. But it's made for staining decks, and as you can tell by the size of it, it holds quite a bit of stain. And so I was able to, I had started rolling it, but I had to spend so much time going over the same places over and over and over again. I mean, I put 2 coats, but I had to spend so much time going over to try to fill in those gaps just a little bit. It was kind of getting frustrating, and I thought, well, I'll just go ahead and try this brush. I was scared it was going to make a mess, because, there was, well, you don't know, I'll tell you, there was a concrete patio underneath the deck. And so I didn't want a bunch of stain dripping down between the cracks down on the patio. Of course, I had drop cloths down, but I was very pleased to see that when using this brush, it did not drip through the cracks, mainly because the stain was so thick. I don't think I would have gotten the same kind of performance, gripless performance with the semi-transparent stain, because they are so much thinner. So anyway, it only took me 7 hours to 2-coat the entire deck. I mean, that's how fast it was, because once you get into the rhythm of it, yeah, and you try, and the important thing, of course, is not to try to paint too much at one time. It's like you figure out how much you can paint at one time, and then you just stick to that. And I was able to do 32 inches of a 5-inch board, which is approximately 1.5 square feet, give or take. And so if you do, a square foot and a half every 60 seconds while you're cooking with gas, let's just put it that way. So I was able to do that, and then it took me a little while longer to do the rail system part of it. But like I said, I did save time by being able to take off the top part. Then on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday was a whole day. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday were half days because I had to go finish the deck. I finished that on Tuesday. Was that Tuesday? Yeah, it was Tuesday. And And Wednesday and Thursday were just half days, but it was so brutally hot out. I mean, I would just, the minute I did any kind of physical labor, and that's all it was physical labor. I mean, putting up rafters. And they were heavy, 2x8 by 12 treated. I'm still not quite sure why the guy felt the need to use treated, but I don't know. It obviously wasn't an air-conditioned space. So I don't really know what his thought process was. I mean, as long as it doesn't get wet, regular wood doesn't rot. But nevertheless, those things were heavy. I bet they weighed 100 pounds apiece. Fortunately, I was able to devise a means of getting the rafters up in place by using a rope. And so what we would do, we would set one rafter over the end wall or over the end beam, and then I put a screw in the bottom of the rafter, and we tied a rope around, threw it up over the ridge, and amazingly enough, it worked really well. Just, the owner is in his 70s, and he had no problem at all pulling that up there. And then of course I would just go up the ladder and screw off the screws, and then come back and screw off the tail end of it. It still took a long time to do, though. We did get faster at it as time went on. Of course, that's how things always work, right? You figure out what you really need to do, and then it becomes a lot easier. It wasn't easier, it was faster. And so we went from taking about, 35, 40 minutes for the first few rafters, and by the time we got finished, we were doing a rafter every 20 minutes. I mean, that's how much difference, But I'm glad that was all we had to do. And then he wanted purlins on the top, and he had an extension ladder, but it was a borrowed extension ladder. The person wanted it back, and I'm so glad that person wanted it back, because that means I couldn't do all the purlins. So therefore, I did about half of them what I could do off an 8-foot ladder, and after that I was like, okay, I'm done. That's the great thing about working for yourself. You can just say, I really have to go now. And I was really tired anyway. It didn't matter. I was blown out. I tell you, I should have gone to the grocery store. I don't know why I didn't. I think I'll turn around and do that. So anyway, I'm gonna get in front of these people here. I recognize those people, but I'm just not quite. Oh, I know who it was. Okay, it's the Currents. Good customer. So that was my week. Fortunately, next week I have an interior painting job. The only thing about it, it's a kitchen and it's a ton of cabinet doors. Two things working in my favor. One, it's only the front side. It's only what you can see from the cabinet, so I don't have to paint the insides of the cabinets. Thank goodness. I just did that in South Boston a few weeks ago, and it was a total pain in the neck to have to reach in there in very awkward positions. You can hear my brake grinding a little bit. I'm on my way to get some brake pads, but I'm going to go to the grocery first because it makes more sense. Anyway, that's what we got for next week. So that will be an all-week affair, because I'm going to paint it with enamel. Because I don't care what paint manufacturers say. I do not trust acrylic latex on any kind of eyewear surface. I mean, if you just want to paint some wood trim in your doors and everything, that's fine. But if you want some durability, it's got to be enamel. And the thing about enamel is it crystallizes. There's a chemical. I don't know if it's quite a chemical reaction or a physical reaction or whatever, but all the molecules in the paint start to cross-link, and then they become a very hard, durable surface, which is why enamel is so hard to get off of something. And of course, I'm going to prime everything first, after wiping everything down with some trisodium phosphate solution, which is what you're supposed to do to get rid of all the dirt. So everything adheres. That's the whole point. You don't want to come back in 6 months and have sheets of paint coming off where you painted. That's kind of a waste of time. Then you have to do it all over. All right. Well, I hope you all have a good weekend. I know I am. I'm not doing much of anything. I'm going to fix the brakes on this car. I've got a computer to get done and return tomorrow. And that's really about it. All right. Well, just go. Everybody. everybody's so friendly. You know, it's like, come on, you're with the cart, I'm in a car, I can wait. I'm in the air conditioner, you're not. Alrighty. Any questions or comments, please leave them in the section below. Like and subscribe. We appreciate when you do. We'll see you on the next video.